All right, welcome to the strategic business reporting. And this is one of the important paper of your ACCA exam, not only because this is in the strategic professional level, but also this is something that is going to help you in your practical and the professional life. Whenever you go for example, audit firms, whenever you go for the companies, say, for example, you're applying there for the finance manager, for example, financial controller, senior accountant, the questions mainly they are going to ask is from this subject. Whenever you see the tests, you see the interviews, most of those guys who are taking the interviews, they will be asking the question from this subject. That means they will be asking the questions related to the financial reporting standards, IAS and IFRS. They will be testing your knowledge in this subject because our main field as an ACCA is the audit and the reporting. Although we may go everywhere, we can go into the insurance companies, we can become the internal auditors, we can go for the finance jobs. Although we can go everywhere, but still most of you guys who are going to complete your ACC exam, first of all, they are going to apply in the audit firms, and then after the audit firms, accountancy firm, they will be moving towards the corporations, companies, and the questions over there they ask, sorry, is going to be from this subject. So this is a very important subject when it comes to ACCA, as well as the practical and the professional life. All right. So strategic business reporting, and I'm your tutor. My name is Rashid Hussain, and I'm teaching this paper, this subject. Previously, this was the corporate reporting P2, and now from last 2 years, this has been changed as strategic business reporting. I'll also be telling you why they have changed it from corporate reporting to the strategic business reporting. But first of all, let me tell you guys regarding myself. I have been teaching this subject from last 8 to 9 years consecutively, and I have also the practical experience related to this subject. I have been providing the advisory to different companies regarding this, and plus I have a good grip. You will see that hopefully in the later on. Sorry, having a problem with my throat, so sorry for that. Okay, so strategic business reporting is one of the important paper of your ACC exam, and I've told you the reason. Because first of all, this is in the strategic professional level, and the second thing is that practically this thing is very important. Now, previously this paper was P2, corporate reporting. This paper was corporate reporting. Now, why there was a need to change this corporate reporting into the strategic business reporting? Look, there is a discussion going on nowadays that our role as an accountant has evolved over the years. Like, say, for example, previously, like if you go back near to 5 years, for example, if you talk about previous 6 to 7 years, or you can talk about a decade, for example, last 10 years, we guys were taken as someone who is going to manage the spreadsheets, or the guys who knows how to perform the accounting in the accounting softwares. So the guys can prepare the spreadsheets and they can work on the accounting software. Now, in the later years, this role has been evolved. And now we ACCAs, we accountants, we chartered accountants, are taken as someone who will be working at the strategic level, who will be working at the board level, and who will be the one who will be suggesting the accounting treatments to the other accounting staff rather than working on the spreadsheets. Because like if you are the one who is the one who can manage the spreadsheets, Now, this work can be done even by a graduate, even by a person who has done the master's in accounting and finance. So if you are going to do the same function, then what is the difference between that guy and you as a chartered accountant? So you will be the someone who will be sitting at the board level and who will be suggesting the treatments to the board regarding, for example, I am working in a company and they are going to enter into a project. Now, obviously, that complete project needs accounting. I will be the one who will be suggesting the accounting treatments. Say, for example, we are going to take some assets on lease. Now, I'll be the one who will be suggesting the accounting treatments for lease. Say, for example, our company has done investments. Now, I'll be the one who will be suggesting the treatment for those investments. Say, for example, we have acquired a subsidiary, and say, for example, we have done a joint venture. I'll be the one who will be suggesting the treatments regarding that joint venture. So now your role as an accountant has evolved over the years, and now you guys are being taken as the strategic accountants who will be suggesting the treatments, who will be having the supervisory role over the accounting function rather than working on the spreadsheets. So that is why there was a need to convert this paper, the corporate reporting, which was mainly numerical, like you can say 70 to 80% portion was numerical and the 20 to 30% portion was theoretical. Now, this is completely changed in the strategic business reporting. Strategic business reporting paper is mainly theoretical. I'll be showing you a past paper later on in this lecture. And you will see in most of the paper, the examiner has asked you to discuss, evaluate, discuss. And only 10 to 20% portion was to calculate the figures. So make sure when you are studying the strategic business reporting paper, you are ready to learn the accounting treatments. Be ready to learn the accounting treatments. Be ready to look for the theory in the paper rather than the numerics. So this paper is entirely different from the previous P2, which was the corporate reporting. So I was telling you that the role of the accountants has evolved during these years. And now you are the one who will be sitting at the board level, sitting at the strategic level, and the one who will be suggesting the treatments to the other accounting guys. And you will be having a supervisory role over the accounting function. So first of all, you see the aim of the paper. The aim of the syllabus is to discuss, apply, and evaluate the concepts. Now, one more thing in this paper, in the strategic business reporting paper, is actually the interpretation. Principles and practices that underpin the preparation and interpretation of corporate reports in various contexts, including the ethical assessment of the management's stewardship and the information needs of a diverse group of the stakeholders. Now, you will be having a compulsory part from the ethics. You have studied the ethics in your F1 paper. It was actually a general discussion on moral development theories. Then you have studied this ethics portion in your F8 exam. There it was related particularly to the auditors, that auditors should do that, should not do that. So those were actually the guidelines for the auditor in the course of audit. But now when in the strategic business reporting, you are going to study ethics. So this is from the reporting perspective. This is from the reporting perspective. So make sure that you are ready to see the theoretical things. So here you will see a particular part related to the ethics, management stewardship, and interpretation. Now, interpretation can be of two types. First of all, the examiner may ask you regarding the analysis. Say, for example, you talk about the leases standard. It has changed in the previous years. Previously, it was IAS 17, and now we are applying the principles of the IFRS 16. So they can ask like, okay, what is actually the change for the investor perspective? Like, what is going to be the change for the investor in analyzing the financial statements, in analyzing the financial reports? And then you have the other things such as framework, which is very, very important. And you have studied that thing in your F3 paper, in F7 paper. Here you are going to see that in more detail. So in whole of the strategic business reporting paper, you are going to see that this paper is mainly theoretical and you have to apply the concepts. Like say, for example, in F7, you used to do the calculations related to IAS 16. You used to do the calculation related to IFRS 9 and deferred tax. So here, say, for example, examiner is saying that the company has bought a property and there are different floors. Say, for example, 5 floors. The first floor is used for the office. The second floor is being given on the rent. The third floor is given to the employees for their residence as a benefit. And the fourth floor is for sale. The company is selling it. The fifth floor, they have no intention yet regarding that fifth floor. Now, how to account for the building? Now, obviously, now this is something, application that all 5 floors have different intention. The first one is used as the office. The second one is on the rent. The third one is under the use of the employees. The fourth one is for the sale. And the fifth one, there is no intention yet what to do with it, whether to sell it or whether to keep it. Now, this is something which belongs to the application. These type of scenarios will be coming up in the exam where you have to apply your conceptual knowledge regarding the standards. So the main capabilities, the first one is apply fundamental ethical and professional principles to ethical dilemmas and discuss the consequences of unethical behavior. Like say, for example, you are, for example, the financial controller or the finance director in a company. You are the person who is heading up the accounting function as a finance director or the financial controller. Now, your wife got some shares in the same company, and you know that the company is going to invest in a project, and once they are going to announce it, the share price will be affected. Now, can you share this knowledge with your wife so she can benefit by buying more shares or keeping the shares until the share price has gone more up? So this is something related to the ethics, although clearly you can see that this is something related to the insider dealing, and insider dealing is illegal. So once the thing is illegal, there's no debate of the ethics over there. But such type of scenarios will be coming up in the exam where you will be actually looking whether you should do such thing as a right course of action, or you should avoid that thing. But that scenario is going to be related with the financial reporting. Evaluate the appropriateness of financial reporting framework and critically discuss changes in the accounting regulations. Apply professional judgment in the reporting of financial performance of the range of entities. Preparation of the financial statement of group, that means the consolidation. Yes, this is something very important to discuss over here. That in the P2, there used to be a full question of 50 marks on the consolidation. And when you see the strategic business reporting kits, both the Kaplan and the BPP, you will still see that they have included the full consolidation question up to 30 marks, 35 marks, 50 marks. And they have given the full questions in their kits. But from the last, you can say, 5 to 6 attempts which has been there regarding the SBR, we have never seen a full consolidation question in the SBR exam. Even we do not expect in the future papers, in the potential papers, prospective papers. Because the examiner now has a routine to ask some parts from the consolidation rather than the full question on the consolidation. Because if they're going to give the same paper, then there's going to be no difference between the corporate reporting and the strategic business reporting. So they are testing less calculation and they are more on the discussion. So even in the future papers, I do not expect the full consolidation question in the exam. Even in this attempt, which was September 2020, they have given the consolidated cash flow, but it was not a complete question. In fact, it was apart from it. Even in the second last attempt, there was a part related to the disposal of the subsidiary. So similarly, all those previous attempts which have been so far, there is no full consolidation question. Now in the kit, those consolidation questions are meant to be for the practice, that you will be doing those questions to get a grip on the consolidation, because anything can be tested from it. So you'll be practicing the full question in your preps, but you should not expect a full question in the exam. So the students who are wasting too much time on consolidation and like doing half of the months, spending half of the months on the consolidation, so they should not do that. They should practice some question, like 4 to 5 questions, just to have a grip on the workings, and not more than that. Then you have interpret financial statements for different stakeholders and communicate the impact of the changes and potential changes in accounting regulation for financial reporting. These are the current issues. And now again, in the P2, there was a full question on the current issues. The last question in the P2 exam used to be on the current issues, but here you will be having a part on the current issues, not the full question. So again, it's actually a change. So do not expect a full question on the consolidation. Do prepare it, do practice it, but keep it in mind that you will be having a part from it, not a full question, full numerical question. And the second thing is the current issues are going to be a part, not a full question, but you have to keep your eye on the changes, that what are the current projects of the IASB, International Accounting Standard Board, which standards are in consideration, which standards are going to be changed, what changes they are bringing, and even when those changes they are bringing or they have brought, how they are affecting the accounting treatments. So you should know the comparison as well. Say, for example, the comparison of IAS 17 and IFRS 16. You should know that, okay, what changes these standards has brought and what is going to be the impact on the financial statements, even for the stakeholders, even for the investors. So you should know the investor perspective of everything. Now coming towards the exam pattern, which is quite simple. So you have section A and you have section B. So section A will consist of 2 scenario-based questions that will total 50 marks. The first question will be based on the financial statements of group entities, that means consolidation, or extracts thereof, that means a part of it, and is also likely to require consideration of some financial reporting issues, that means the other parts will be related to the standards. Candidates should understand that in addition to the consideration of the numerical aspects of the group accounting, a discussion and explanation of these numbers will also be required. So the examiner is actually straight away telling this thing that the maximum calculation they can give is up to 25 marks, not more than that. And there are going to be the explanation parts, the theoretical parts as well. The second question in the section A will require candidates to consider the reporting implications and the ethical implication of specific events in a given scenario. So these are going to be the two questions. And then you have section B, which will have two further questions, which may be scenario or the case study or essay based and will contain both discursive and computational elements. Mainly it is going to be discursive. Section B could deal with any aspect of the syllabus, but will always include either a full question or a part of question that requires appraisal or non-financial information from either the preparers or another stakeholder's perspective. That is what I was telling you, the stakeholder perspective. The current issues element of the paper may be examined in section A or B, but will not be a full question. It is more likely to form a part of any question. So this is the exam pattern. Now the syllabus, you have the ethics, you have the standards, okay, you have the consolidation, you have the interpretation, and then you have the current issues. Now, the list of IAS in the strategic business reporting. Now you will see that there are many standards which you have done in your F7 exam, but I am not going to take anything for granted. I'm not going to take anything for granted. That means we'll be studying from the very start. So you have the IS1, presentation of financial statements, although this is just a number, not much detail. You have the inventory. Let me just write F7 with the standard which we have already done. F7 IS2 inventories we have done over there. Cash flows we have done over there. Accounting policies, but here we have the consolidated cash flow. Consolidated cash flow. You have done the IS 10 over there, you have done the IS 12, IS 16. But remember one thing, the standards which we have already done in F7, first thing is I'm not going to take anything for granted. We'll be starting from the very scratch. And the second thing is that such as IS 12, you have studied it, but not in much detail. In SBR, it has too much detail in it. The rest of the standard IS 8, 10, and 16 are exactly the same. The questions will be different, but the knowledge is exactly the same. This is something new, IS 19, employee benefits. Again, IS 20, you have done this thing in F7. IS 21, F7, yes. But again, over here, you have some more things in it. 20 is exactly the same. 23 is exactly the same. You have done this thing. IS 24 is a new standard for you related parties. Associate has been discussed in F7, but it was just a numerical adjustment. Here you can have the theory related to IS 28. IS 33 you have already done in your F7. IS 34 is something new. IS 36 we have already done in it, but here there will be some more things in it, and the questions are exactly the different. IS 37 you have already done it. F7, similarly IS 38, IS 40, and even 41. But remember one thing, that these standards which you have already done, some of them are the same, just like IS 23, IS 20, similarly IS 40, IS 38, exactly the same. But the questions are going to be discursive rather than numerical. List of IFRS in SBR. So something new, IFRS 2, IFRS 3, although you have done in F7, but I will say that something new. IFRS 5, yes, you have done. IFRS 8 is new. Financial instruments you have done in F7, but that was Not in much detail. That was simply uh, financial asset at fair value through profit or loss and other comprehensive income. Here you have many things. You have the hedging, accounting for hedging, so many details, impairment of financial assets which you have not studied in your F7 exam. So we can say this is completely new for you. Consolidated financial statements, although you have done some theory related to control, but here we have more theory in it. IFRS 11 new, 12 new, 13 you have already done, but here we have much more detail of it. So you can say a new one, IFRS 15, you have done uh, over there, but not in much detail. Again, I would say you have done enough 7, but it's going to be completely new for you. Leases, although you have done over there, but still there will be many things you have not studied. And then you have IFRS for SMEs. And again, this is something new for you guys. So how much you have studied in your F7 exam, we can say up to 60%, but we are not going to take anything for granted. Students having a good base will be able to pick the concepts easily. Yes, that is definitely going to help you if you already know those standards. So if you still remember F3 and F7, it will definitely supportive for you guys. That means you will be able to pick the ideas and the concepts more quickly. So what is going to be my approach? My lectures will not involve book reading because you have to do it yourself after the class. Uh, I'll be using the class slide just like you see this introductory lecture. I have the slides of my own related to all the topics we are going to study. Specifically when it comes to standards, every concept will be supported by the relevant example. So you can say once you are done with my slide, you are done with the many textbooks. You are done with the BPP, you are done with the Kaplan, even you are done with some other textbooks which are not available, even some IFRS websites, because I have taken the example from everywhere. Sorry. There will be many examples to support each and every concept. So once you are done with my slide, that means you are already done with the textbook. But still, if you're fond of reading the textbooks, I cannot stop you from doing that. You can just take the soft copies or hard copy, whatever is convenient for you. Better is to go for the soft copies because paperless approach is much better than buying the book, but still it's again depends on how you are actually convenient with reading the book. So if you expect book reading in the professional classes, I'm afraid you have the wrong expectations because we are not going to do that. Because I know some teachers are doing that in the class and maybe some students are enjoying it too, but I do not expect this in the class because if you are here for the book reading, why you are studying from me, you can do it yourself. You are here to take the benefit from my knowledge, from my resources, from the study material which I have actually compiled for you guys. So that is going to be good for you. Once you are done with my material, then when you will be, you can say, going for the book, you will just skim it because you will know each and everything. So I'll be teaching you the topics in detail, making your base, working through examples and test your understandings, and also doing exam questions from my question bank. Now, this is something new for you that I will be giving my question bank in the SBR. Now, what is the reason behind that? Uh, yes, why question bank and not the exam kit? Now, you can do the exam kit once you are done with all the standards because in the exam kit, you have the mixed questions. You have the mixed questions. So if you say, for example, you have a question, part 1 is related to IS 16, part 2 is related to IS 40, part 3 may be IFRS 9. So it is going to be difficult for me to first of all do all the standards and then going to the kit. If I do this way, you will forget all the standards once I reach the kit. So that is why I have arranged a question bank, and the question bank has standard wise questions. I have from the same kits, from the same Kaplan and the BPP kit, I have arranged the questions standard wise. Okay, these are the questions related to IS 16. These are the questions related to IS 23. So once you are done with my question bank, fortunately, you will be done with the both kits, both the Kaplan and the BPP. So it is wiser option to go for the question bank, but still, if you are not convinced, then you can do kit by your own. My question bank is adopted from the exam kit. I have not made my own questions. It is not possible for me. I have adopted the kit questions, but I have arranged them standard-wise. So SBR syllabus has standards in it. Every standard is different from the other and needs separate questions to apply your knowledge. This is not possible with the exam kits as there are questions with mixed standards. So we will be using question bank so that we can go through exam questions right after the standard. That means right after doing the standard. So if you understand the standard, you will be able to write that in your own words, and which is completely acceptable in the paper. There's no need to learn word by word. If you are able to write the concept clearly in your own words, then obviously examiner is going to be happy to see your answer, and that is clearly acceptable. So the study resources we'll be having is the class slides, which I'll be sharing you right after each class. I'll not be sharing you that in advance. Say for example, today we have done leases. So right after the class, you will see in your folder, the leases will be uploaded. Question bank will be shared in advance. Short notes will be shared in advance. And question bank will be shared in advance, but class slides will be given right after each class, because I do not want students to write during the class. Just focus on what I'm telling you, and whatever I'll be writing on the screen, you will get it right after the class in the form of the notes. So if you are writing during the class, then obviously you will be losing the focus. If you have a good multitasking skill, then that's fine. Otherwise, it's not a wiser option. So are you ready? Do you have any question till now? All right, now right in front of you, you can see there is a past paper, strategic business reporting, and because we are doing the international variant, you are the international students, and this paper is from March 2020. The objective of showing you this exam, this past paper, is to tell you that you can see that how much portion you will be having in your exam, which is theoretical, and how much is actually the numerical. So you see, question number 1 of section A, and first of all, you see there's the total 30-mark question, because we have 2 questions in the section A, the other will be of 20 marks. So you see the requirement, how the functional currency should be determined. Now this is related to IS 21. IS 21 has defined the criteria how to determine the functional currency. So again, you can say this is actually a theoretical portion. Now the B part, how the C customer contracts should be accounted for in the consolidated financial statements. Now again, related to the standard theory. Then you have the calculation of the goodwill. Okay, this is numerical, right? Include a brief explanation of and calculation of how the impairment and exchange differences on goodwill will impact. So you see there is actually a theoretical perspective as well. How should be accounted for in the consolidated financial statement? Again, theoretical. A calculation and discussion of how the bonds should be accounted. So you see this is financial instruments. And again, this is numerical and plus theoretical. So in the 30 marks, you see that is mainly theoretical. Then you come to the question number 2, section B, which is of 20 marks. Discuss the appropriate accounting treatment of the restructuring clause, that is IS 37. So again, theoretical. Discuss what is meant by good stewardship, theoretical. Discuss briefly whether the acquisition of equity shares should be disclosed as a related party transaction, IS 24, again theoretical. Identify and discuss the ethical issues, again theoretical. So you see the question number 2 of the section B is completely theoretical. So that means you have to learn these accounting treatments to apply in the exam. Now there will be question number 3. Discuss with reference to the IFRS whether the directors can classify the stadium as held for sale, IFRS 5, Lydia's company accounting treatment of their crowd barrier improvements, and the principles of the accounting treatment for sale and leaseback. Again, these are 3 different standards, and you have to discuss it. That means again theory, and somehow you will have the calculation, but mainly it is theory. Discuss whether the amortization of intangible assets relative to the television program contents rights are by the industry are acceptable policies in accordance with IFRS. How to account for the player contract cost. Again, you have to apply the standards. So 25-mark question to apply your accounting knowledge of the standards. So that means you have to study the standards in quite detail to apply in the SBR exam. This time in the latest paper was September 2020, and the students have given me the feedback that around 30 marks, you can say 30 marks, were quite technical, and they were unable to, most of them were unable to understand it, and some of them were actually struggling to understand it. So that means, and they said that these questions were quite different for us. You know, like if you are counting on the practice questions you have done, that okay, I have done the BPP, I've done the Kaplan, now the same type of questions are coming up in the exam, then actually you are putting yourself in the pressure situation. If you're expecting the same questions again, examiner is not a mad person who will be giving you the same question again, although most of the times you see the questions which somehow has a link with the previous question. Somehow you have seen those things in the past paper, somehow you have seen those things in the test understanding, but be prepared for the conceptual understanding. So don't be a crammer who is just learning the questions and the answers with the expectation that the same questions are going to come up in the exam. If you're doing that thing, then you are actually putting yourself under a difficult situation. So I do not advise you guys to do such type of approach by learning those questions and answers from the kit and expecting the same question. What I suggest you is when I'm teaching any particular standard, make sure that you are getting the complete understanding of that. Make sure you are understanding each and every concept of that. Make sure you are understanding each and every test you're understanding, so that whatever type of question is coming up in the exam, you are able to write something on it. So this is what I advise. And then you see the question number 4. See the question number 4. The A part is discuss why the disclosure of the sustainable information has become more important for investors. Again, you see the investor perspective, 8 marks, theoretical. And then you have the section B of it. Discuss how the 16 million provision associated moved to a new head office, and the sublet to its old head office should be accounted for in IS 37. So you see theoretical application of the standard, advise on the principle of accounting for the pension scheme IS 19, again theoretical, calculate the impact. Now this is something numerical of 2 marks. So you see the theoretical marks are carrying more marks, and wherever it is numerical, it is the examiner is allocating very less marks to it. So be prepared for the theory. All right, so I have explained you the each and everything related to the SBR exam, how it is, what is the pattern of the SBR exam, how many questions are over there, and what is actually the routine of the examiner, how they are testing it, what type of questions are coming up in the exam, how many resources we have, how many resources I'll be providing you, how we are going to study, how we are going to practice the things. So along with the question bank, we'll also be doing all the past papers, but not all. All means that some of them will be done by me and rest will be given to you as an assignment. So this is one more thing I need to tell you, that if you are participating yourself by attempting questions and then showing me the answers, how you have done it, then there are more chances that you will be qualifying, you will be passing in the first attempt and with the very good marks. And if you are avoiding, if you are being lazy, you are not doing the assignments, you are not participating in the quiz, in the question and answer session, you're not appearing for the test, and you are bringing excuses that I was busy in the office, I'm not feeling well, blah, 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 the excuses students usually have. So obviously that is not uh, my headache again if you are not working well, because if you are participating, then I can give you the reasonable assurance, not the absolute one, because I cannot give the guarantees, the reasonable assurance that you will be passing in the first attempt. The students who will be appearing for the CBs, although in most of the countries we have the deadline that this December 2020 is going to be the manual attempt in most of the countries. But there are some countries, such as in the UK, such as in other European countries, they have already moved towards the CB, computer-based strategic professional exam. So for them, I'm going to practice few papers on the CBE pattern, but mainly my practice is going to be for the manual. So in fact, the few papers will actually train you how to see the interface, how to see the computer-based interface, and how to pick up the exam requirement, how to write it, what are the technicalities over there, all the things will be explained over there. The rest, my practice sessions are going to be the manual ones. That means I'll be writing it rather than attempting on the computer-based system. So this is all about the SBR exam. This was the introduction. And now from the next lecture, we are going to start the standards.